China has released findings which claim a Philippine warship grounded in the South China Sea is causing grave damage to the surrounding coral reef. The report cites data from a remote sensing and field investigation around the Second Thomas Shoal, on which the vessel, that's the Sierra Madre, is beached. The probe found that high concentrations of heavy metals and oils discharged from the vessel had hurt the health of the coral, and there had been a sharp decline in coral found in the shoal's reef flat and lagoon slope. The report proposes removal of the Philippine warship. Its presence has long been considered, quote, illegal by China. Manila has yet to respond. Both nations have been bickering over the Spratly Islands, called the Nansha Islands by China, the Second Thomas Shoal and the Sabina Shoal. And for more, let's bring in CNA's Olivia Siong live in Beijing. Olivia, how has China responded to this latest pact between China? Earlier in this bulletin, Japan and the Philippines signing this agreement allowing each other's militaries access to each other's soil.
Well, Wei Su, China's foreign ministry was asked about this latest pact between Japan and the Philippines, and its spokesperson replied saying that any agreements between countries should not harm the interests of third countries, also saying that it should not undermine regional peace and security. But when pressed further by journalists about felt that China was being targeted by this latest agreement, we heard from them that the spokesperson not answering directly the question. But we know that these comments also come as China's rivalry with the U.S. continues to deepen, and as it views the U.S. as trying to shore up its alliances with its partners in the region, which China views as trying to contain its development. Not forgetting also that the Philippines has that mutual defense sides to come to the other's defense in the event of an armed attack, which includes the South China Sea, which is disputed by China, where we have seen heightened tensions between the two sides of late. And this also coming ahead of a NATO summit this week, where the security bloc plans to release its first joint statement talking about stepping up cooperation with countries in the Asia Pacific, including Japan, South Korea, Australia, and New Zealand. China also hitting back at this force of risk when it comes to threatening regional peace and stability. Wei Su.
All right, Olivia, you mentioned all these ongoing tensions, but I mean, we've also seen various levels, mid to high level talks, both within the region, between China as well as the United States and the United States allies as well. So these talks, they aren't helping to ease things very much, are they? At least not at this point.
Wait, so we just have to look over the weekend. What we saw was the Philippines accusing China of anchoring what is called one of its monster ships, Coast Guard ships near the Sabina Shoal inside its exclusive economic zone. Today, we are hearing from China responding, saying that those islands are not part of the Philippines territory and that the Chinese vessels were patrolling the waters as they were allowed to under domestic and international law. Now, clearly, even after China and the Philippines held those high-level talks last week following escalations in the South China Sea, we recall that incident that took place mid-June, which led to weapons being used and the Philippines Coast Guard's thumb being severed. The Philippines and its partners also accusing China of more escalatory actions. But today, also another narrative that we heard there, China releasing its report by the Ministry of Natural Resources, in which research from April to June this year that there was degradation to the coral reef in the disputed waters near the Second Thomas Shoal, or Ren Ai Jiao as the Chinese call it. And this is the location of where there have been skirmishes between Philippines and China of late. Now, China has attributed this to the Philippine Navy ship that has been grounded there since 1999. But when asked about the timing of this particular report, the Chinese officials continued to maintain that this was part of its normal schedule of work. Have a listen.
按照原来我们的工作计划呢，我们就是在今年启动了这样一个调查。这个调查呢，我们不只是局限于仁爱礁这一个岛，而且是一个有步骤、有顺序的一个调查。然后呢，我们接下来呢，我们也会继续开展这个一些南沙群岛岛礁的一些珊瑚礁生态系统的调查，同时我们还有深化这个调查内容、拓展监测范围、调查范围。除了这个以外，我们还会进行常态化的监测，掌握一下这个南沙群岛珊瑚礁生态系统的一个状况变化趋势。
Now, officials were also asked what sort of follow-up action would be taken, whether there will be any communication with the Philippines following this research report that has been released. But officials would only say that more work and investigations will be done before recommendations would be made to the Chinese government. But I also have to point out here that it's not the first time we're hearing about environmental concerns. Earlier this year, the Philippines likewise accusing China of causing environmental damage from its actions in the disputed South China Sea.
Thanks, Olivia Siong. They're reporting live from Beijing about not just territorial, now environmental concerns as well between China and the Philippines.